Welcome to The Journey. I am your host, Connie Selica, for a couple of episodes where we shine the light on Julieann Hartman. This has been quite a journey, and we are going to continue it now. We're going to find out a lot more about what makes this woman tick, and we're learning a lot. So we left off, you got the acting bug.
Right.
You wanted to pursue acting, so you and your boyfriend moved to Los Angeles from San Diego.
Right. And so we were just friends. We really were like a
so
boyfriend, like a friend.
A male friend.
Yeah, a male friend. That's how you put it. And so we were just, pursuing our careers. And, unfortunately, when you want to be an actress and you're non-union and no one knows who you are, you might get yourself into some really bad situations. And there was one time where I was, so imagine this. I'll set the scene. So back when the rent-a-car agencies were in the terminals at LAX, I actually worked for $1 Rent-A-Car.
Oh.
I loved that job. It was really fun. I would sit and watch the pickpocketers.
Did you wear a little hat?
Oh, totally. Yeah. I'd watch the people would pickpocket. They'd come in, they'd go, to get their baggage or luggage, and the guys would come and just pull out their wallets and stuff, and I'd watch the whole thing.
And not say anything?
Oh, no, because guess why? They
got
could
a
give me
tip?
money. Yes. They would tip me. So I wouldn't say anything. Well, this one man one day comes up to my counter, and he, was asking me some questions, and, he was really cute. And so he said, he was this producer, and I'm like, oh my God, this is like it. This is my career, right? So he told me to meet him in a location after I got off work. And so I was like, okay, again, I don't know. Because I'm sure you never probably went up against, or you probably saw some of
I
this,
have my stories, but this is your interview.
Right, okay. I'll be sure to be the host when you do that. But anyway, so I'd actually had gone home first, and I got dressed up. And this is crazy, but I put on, we used to wear nylons, stockings and stuff.
And garter belts.
Yes, and that was a part of the story why I had those nylons on. And I had just cashed my check, and so I had a wad of money on me. So I go home, get dressed, and I got, myself all ready. I go and I meet him at this location. I forget what it was, like a diner or something. And I happened to mention to him, which was so dumb, we were getting out of the car, and I said, I don't want to leave this here. I've got all this cash. Well, you know where this is going. So so now he knows it, but I don't know that he's not a good guy. Next thing I know, he's got me driving him. So we go out and we have drinks. Next thing I know, he's got me driving him to this really seedy motel down in Inglewood. Yeah. And we go into the room, and so this was all.
And you think you're going to get a part?
Well, yeah, because he was a producer, and I thought for sure I was gonna, if I, spent time with him, that he'd take my number and that would be it, So we go in there. We go into this motel room, with the shag carpet up the walls, and so now I'm getting nervous because nobody knows where I am. Nobody knows.
The male friend that you were living with?
He didn't even know. He would have killed me if I told him I was doing that. So he didn't know. My mom, no one knew, because we didn't have cell phones. I wasn't going to call anybody. So we're in the room there, and all of a sudden he lays on the bed. He goes, "Take your clothes off." And I went, "What?" And he said, "Take your clothes off." And I'm like, "I'm not going to take my clothes off." Well, he pulls a gun out. And I'm like, all right, I guess I'm going to take I didn't know what to do. So I said, I have to go to the bathroom. I know this is like so crazy. I go into the bathroom, and I literally, the slide down the wall, and I am bawling, and I'm going, what am I going to do? And again, I don't know God at all, but I'm like, what am I going to do? I'm going to die here if I don't perform for him. Or I could die even if I do perform for him. And before he told me to take my clothes off, he said, "Give me your money." And I said, "What do you need my money for?" And then he said, "Take your clothes off." And so I'm in the bathroom, and I am just freaking out, not knowing what to do. And all I can think of is, how do I get out of this door? Or how do I get out? Like, I mean, it was, I had only been in there just for a few minutes. I didn't really know like the lay of the land very well, but I knew I had to get out of there. So I take my money and I shove it into my pantyhose. And so, because I had to come out, you know, the way, or I thought I was going to be shot. And so
But he knew you had the money.
He knew I had the money. So what happened was, so I come out and he's in my purse trying to get the money. So I know. So I see him, I peek, I see him, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is not good. Like I don't really even remember all I remember is just sheer panic of this might be the last day I'm alive. Mm-hmm. And so I was like going, hey, I'll be there in a minute. He was like, you know, you need to come out here now. So I come out there, I go out there, and I'm sitting on the bed, and I'm sitting to a place where I had the money on my right side, so I was sitting on my left side, and, you know, I'm trying to talk to him and say, you know, this isn't really what, you know, I just don't do this. This is not who I am. This is not what I do. But meanwhile, I think he had taken some other kind of a drug. I did not take any drugs. But I think he took something, because as he's talking, I mean, I believe it was God, because I didn't know God at the time, but I really do believe, because as he's talking to me, he's like kind of rolling his eyes and like kind of like going, like dipping his head and stuff. Like he's
So you were getting the sense that he may pass out?
Like he's going to pass out.
And that would be your exit?
Yeah. And so you know, he's like trying to pull me towards him, and I'm, you know, holding off and, you know, just saying all kinds of things I could say to get him to do that. Literally the next thing I know, he passes out.
That had to be God.
It was. I didn't know at the time, because I wouldn't. Mm-hmm. And you know what, as we're speaking now, because I've never told anybody this story, but I believe that there's a reason why I'm telling this story, because no one knows the story. My own husband doesn't even know the story. But I know that there's people out there. I want you to know, and I'm going to cry, but you know, even though you do these things, God is such a redeemer of everything. I mean, it doesn't matter what you've done. He loves you regardless. And he was in that room that day, that night. There is no other explanation for that. And it just really has hit me right now as we're here talking about it, because I don't know still what got me out of that room that night.
And Julieann, do you have any idea how often this happens to young women?
I know.
Who are vulnerable, and these men prey on seeing, especially young women who have a dream and will follow any lead to that dream. And that was you. And it happens so often.
You know, Connie, I wanted to be somebody so bad. Mm-hmm. I wanted to prove to all of my family, not just my mom, not even my mom, but to the you know, the outskirt family who thought that, you know, you were the daughter of the black sheep of the family, and, you know, all of you guys are going to be no good because of the father that you had and all that. I was on a mission to prove them all wrong. And one way was to be an actress, so that I could show them, see, look, some good things can happen, you know, to people like us. And I know there's people out there that have that same thing. There's a stigma in the family that says you come from bad fabric, you know, you come from that other side of the train tracks, you know, and so are you ever going to make it in life? And I just wanted to have people think that I made it so bad.
You wanted to prove something.
I did. Well, so then what was really weird was, so the guy passes out, and I run back in, and I get my dress, and I pull my dress back on, and I can't get out the door. I know, it was this really weird lock, and I didn't know that he had the key. So you had to lock it from the inside.
With the key.
Yeah, with the key.
That was premeditated.
Yes. So now see that this is like, I don't understand this lock, you know, and your mind's going a mile a minute. I'm like, what do I do? What do I do? And I'm like, oh my God, it's a key. It's a key. Where do I find the key? So he had taken his clothes off.
Was it in his pocket?
And it was in his pocket. So I am trying to be so quiet that he doesn't hear me. So I'm going through his stuff when I find the key, and I get in, and I open the door and I slam it as hard as I can. I run down and I get in my car and I left.
Oh my gosh. What a story.
It was awful.
And did anyone know about this
I never
following
told,
day?
No.
No one? You held on to this?
I did not, I was so embarrassed about it. I was so disgusted about it. I was so just grossed out about the whole thing. I remember when I went home, I was just taking like shower after shower after shower, trying to like cleanse myself of something that I just almost got myself involved
Julieann,
in.
that's really difficult to live with something like that and not be able to share it and get it off of your chest.
You know, that's one reason why I've been so careful with our daughters, because see, you know, when you've not experienced something like this, you may not know how the depths of someone's evilness can go.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
So it's like when everything is just surfacey, you know, everything is great, you know, everything is perfect. But I've seen the other side. I've seen darkness. I've seen it in disgusting ways that I put myself in.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen it. And so with our girls, as they got older, you know, and now they're going in, when they were, you know, starting to date and stuff, there was always something in me that I would try to tell them, you know, you want to be careful because, but I couldn't tell them the story.
I felt the same way with my daughter, and I don't have a story quite like that, but I felt like she was always thinking that the world was a lot rosier than it is, and it's hard to teach our daughters about the evil in the world,
Yeah.
especially that we have protected them from the evil for all of their lives, so they don't know.
Yeah.
And then they trust the wrong people as
Exactly.
well. And that is the prayer every night, when, especially when you have a daughter. That's the prayer every night, right?
Yeah, and I mean, I was still searching to be somebody. And what I didn't know is Jesus was there the whole time going, you're somebody, you're somebody, you're somebody. You know, but I would have never, you know, unfortunately.
You're his precious little girl.
Yeah.
You're his precious child. And you hadn't gotten that yet.
I didn't know.
What
you know,
a revelation that had to be for you when
It
you
was.
finally got that embrace and realized that you were his. And that
Absolutely.
he carried your picture in
I
his
know.
wallet. That makes me cry.
Yeah. And that whole time, you know, how he protected me. That's why you're going to tell me now he doesn't protect. Are you kidding me, when I didn't even know him? And I was doing everything wrong, you know, not serving him. But I was, the part that was hard for me was, I was told that when I was getting punished for something, that God was the punisher. See, my mom didn't know either. And we would always be like, well, if you lie, you know, you're going to go to hell.
Right.
Well, all right, so I'm going to go to hell for lying because I am, you know, I don't tell the truth because I don't want you to know the truth. And, you know, I'm going to, and also being that my father was that horrible person, I had a lot of family members that would tell me, well, you look just like him, you are just like him, you laugh like him, you walk like him, you are him. And so I was really on this course of destruction to think, well, okay, so I look like him, I act like him, his blood runs through my veins, then I must be as crazy and as he was.
But I'm going to prove to you that I can be better.
Yes.
That was your mission.
So to me, it was like, well, how dark is hell? I'll just go there. I don't care, because if I'm already going because I'm Bob Davis's daughter, then I'm going to go all the way. And that's kind of where I was with all of that.
So you are now, you had the job at the car rental, and you had other jobs that led to finally work.
Getting a job at Jeopardy.
Yeah.
Yay! So now I'm only 21. All this has happened. I'm 21 when I get the job at Jeopardy.
How did you get it?
Well, it was so crazy because my mom always told me, you know, you're never going to be a good waitress because you don't like waiting on people. You're not real nice to people.
Oh.
So you go,
That's nice from your mother.
well, she knew her daughter.
She knew her daughter.
She said, make sure you learn how to type because you're going to go broke if you got to be a waitress. And she was right. So I learned how to type. I could type really fast. After that whole situation with the rent-a-car, I just knew, because I worked the overnight, I just knew it wasn't for me anymore. So I went to work for my mom as a temp. I did temporary jobs all over the city.
She was still in real estate?
Yeah, well, now she's in mortgage banking.
Okay.
So I went to work for her. She worked for, I think, Merrill Lynch at the time. So I worked for her, answering her phones. Well, I was like so determined, you know, to get into the business. So I just answered a blind ad in Variety. It said typist, 90 words a minute. Yeah.
Jeopardy?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So I answered the ad, and I go to. They said, well, you know, the interview will be at the Merv Griffin Studios on Vine, and I was like, okay. So I go there and I take the typing test, and they say, well, you passed the test. You type like 110 words a minute. I was really good at typing. We want to bring you back. We can't tell you the show yet because it's kind of a new. They're bringing a show back. We don't want to talk about it, you know, publicly yet. So anyway, I go back, I get a phone call. A couple weeks later, they said, we'd like you to meet the producer. Well, I go in and it's Alex Trebek.
Wow.
He was the producer of Jeopardy at the time. And I did this interview with him, and immediately he said, he goes, he loved my red hair. And he goes, we're going to just call you Big Red. So that's how I got my nickname, is Big Red. And so he hired me on the spot. And this was to work not as a writer, but on the writing staff, as I would be the supervisor of the writing staff. So I
thought you were a typist.
I was, but I had to type up all the questions.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because back then there was our computers were, there wasn't, we were correcting selectrics. That's what I typed on. And so think about it, someone had to type up those questions, right? But Alex was just amazing. What I love about him, and I said it when he just passed and went to go be with the Lord, is I said, he was the only one that saw something in me that was valuable.
And you knew it then? You felt that from him? Did you trust him?
I trusted him, but I didn't really know. I didn't understand that until later.
He told you later?
No, I just knew.
You just felt.
I just knew that he saw something in me, because he would always tell me, we've got all these really smart people on staff, but he goes, but you know what? You got street smart. And he goes, and I know you'll go.
He didn't even know.
He didn't even know. But he always said, I know you're going to go a long way because you have got street smarts. And so, but what an amazing man.
But did you trust him?
I did trust him.
As your boss?
Yes, he was a real person.
Okay.
Alex Trebek is so smart and so polished and so classy, but he was a real person. And we had a great time. He was our producer for a couple of years, and then couldn't do both, so we brought on a producer, and he just became the host. But
and how long did you stay at Jeopardy?
Oh my gosh, 15 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
and
a long
then
time.
While you were at Jeopardy, you were still pursuing your acting career?
Yeah.
And while you were at Jeopardy, you discovered
stand-up comedy.
Stand-up comedy.
It was one of these things, Connie. We had one of my girlfriends, such good friend. She was the head of research at Jeopardy. So smart. Amazing. And she was my biggest cheerleader. And she would come to see all the dumb shows I did around Hollywood.
What made you have the courage to get up and do stand-up?
Well, this is what she told me one day. She goes, you know what? I've been thinking about you, because I would do all these dumb, 99-seat houses all over, L.A. to do live theater. She goes, you really love immediate response.
Oh.
She goes, I think you should do stand-up comedy. And I'm like, okay, how do I do that? So she gets, she's the head of research, right? So for Jeopardy, so she researches and she finds a teacher for me a coach for me to go to and to learn how to do it. And so I got my first 5 minutes, and we went up at LA Cabaret.
And did you love that immediate reaction?
I did. However, I didn't really necessarily love the drunk immediate reaction.
And the hecklers?
And the hecklers. Yeah, and it was interesting because it wasn't for me. It wasn't a lifestyle for me. It was very, very different. And I wasn't, a lot of them lived in their cars, and just went from club to club
across the country.
Yep. But
you were just staying here.
I had a job, I had a day job. So, and my job was, pretty important. And so, but I went there and I did my 5 minutes, and there was a man in the audience that I met that would become my husband.
Oh, not a heckler.
He did heckle me,
but
it was just for.
It was cute. It was cute.
It was cute. It was just for a moment. And but what was funny is that he was a little shorter and had black hair, and I'm like, I date tall blonde men. We'll just be friends. Yeah, like your husband. So we'll just be friends. And so we were, and he would get all these. Now he was an animator, and at the time Hanna-Barbera, but he would get all these jobs doing soap operas and sitcoms and stuff as an actor, and so I became his acting coach. And that's how because it's like if you can't act, just become a coach.
Yeah, if you can't act, if you can't do, teach.
Right, well, that's what I was doing.
Yeah. But I have a feeling, though, that there were some more men between this male friend that you moved to Los Angeles with and meeting Butch in the audience while you're doing stand-up. There were a lot.
There was a lot of other men, of course. Believe it or not, I know this is going to be really hard to believe, but there was another man that robbed a bank.
Oh, what? Another man who robbed
So
a bank.
we had dated we lived together for a while. And
The second bank robber.
the second, the second bank robber. But I will tell you that we had broken up, kind of, when I found out that he robbed this bank, and it was like in Indiana or something. And then I said, "Don't come back."
Unless you rob a bank in L.A. Then you can.
Yeah, we're not pursuing this anymore. And so that was it for him. But that was crazy. And you know, what's interesting is that I didn't even think about this till right now, but when I was with him is when I became anorexic. I was anorexic for 7 years. And what happened was him and I were wrestling, like just for fun. My mom was there. We were at an apartment we were living in, and he threw me. And when I went down on my wrist the wrong way, and my wrist popped. And I'm in a cast like this, right? And so I can't really do much. So to eat was hard. Well, I started like getting really thin and thought, this is not a bad idea. And then it went from, hey, I can lose weight to I can control what goes in my mouth.
Some control over something.
No one can tell me what to do. So during that time with him, I stopped eating. And so
How long did that last, your anorexia?
7 years. Yep. And even when I was, we had gotten married, I still was a little weird about food because it would just freak me out to think that I had to eat certain foods to have nourishment. Like I didn't, it gets all in your head. It gets awful and just weird stuff. And again, here's the enemy. That just, is just on your shoulder every day, just talking to you and telling you all kinds of horrible things. But then my teeth started rotting.
Were you bulimic?
No, I would never throw up. But my teeth started rotting. And so that's how my family found out, was our dentist was a family friend. And he told my mom, he said, your daughter's been in here, 2 times a year, 6 months each. And she's got like 9, 11 cavities. Something's not right. She's not chewing. Wow. Yeah, and so my mom, confronted me and said,
not chewing and producing saliva
yeah,
to clean.
or not just chewing either. And they were getting loose, my teeth. And he said to me, he goes, I don't know what's going on, as he's in my mouth. He goes, but something's going on with you. I don't know if you're eating. And I'm like, I ain't eating, trying to lie. And so then I went, oh, okay, I'll eat carrots. So I could still not eat, but I'll eat carrots. And so I would just
low calorie.
Yeah, I would drink chicken broth and I would eat carrots. And then my whole body turned orange. And it was orange for years. I know this is the craziest things that we do. Again, still searching,
Right.
Searching.
But you have some control over yourself and your life with that kind of disorder.
People don't realize that. It wasn't about me being skinny anymore.
No, it was about control.
It was all about control.
Yeah.
So then I...
Because may I say this?
Yeah.
So much of your life was out of control.
It was. Oh, yes, you might say that for sure. I also dated a lot of married men, only because I felt like...
You didn't have to make a commitment.
I didn't have to commit. Yeah, and I mean, I did some horrible things. And, again, I'm telling you, I'm only saying this to all of you because I want you to know that Jesus loves you. Like, there is a
say
Father
that the
out
whole
there.
purpose of this journey down your life is to show others that there is redemption,
absolutely,
and salvation.
No matter,
that's the
no
whole
matter what you've
purpose
done.
of this. Yes.
I would date married men because I didn't have to commit to them. There was one I was actually working for. Imagine this. He did when insurance companies are thinking there's fraud, they come in, they do like surveillance and stuff. Mm-hmm. So I was working for him and his wife, and there was 2 other people in the office. One of them I lived with. It was a girl that I was living with. And I was dating another guy on the side, right? So I had a boyfriend. I was living with my girlfriend, who I worked for. She was the office manager. We worked for the husband and the wife, and the husband I was having the affair with. What is so crazy is that she would come in
I'm
the next
assuming
morning
that
and say,
she knows everything now. And that,
well, they're probably all dead now. Who knows? I don't know. She would come in the next morning and say, I am so upset. My husband did not come home last night till 3 a.m. I don't know what he's doing. I'd be like, that's awful. I don't know what is he doing to you? I was like living this double life, but here's the thing. He would buy me things. I had no money. I was living with this friend of mine. I had no money. So, and I wanted to pursue this acting career. And so he would buy me tires for my car. He would, he would buy me things. And and that's where I landed with that. And then I couldn't do that anymore. It was too devastating to see his wife every morning when she loved him so much. But you see, it's like when something is dark and evil, like how dark is that darkness? The Bible talks about that. Mm-hmm. How dark is it? You'll go to the depths of darkness,
right.
And it doesn't just.
And you've already
end.
said that.
Yeah. You'll keep going.
Yeah.
As
because
far
you're
as
there
you go.
already, so you figure you'll keep going, right?
And you're not looking up; you're looking down, and you don't see.
I want to get to the point where you're telling your story about looking up.
Yeah, I know.
I mean,
are you guys ready to hear that part of the story?
I am ready for that.
Yeah.
But so we're up to you are doing stand-up. Someone is in the audience heckling you in a fun way.
Yes.
You start dating him?
Yep. So we started. I was actually engaged to another man at the time. He was there that night.
How many men were you engaged to?
Oh, too many.
Okay.
So, and I got rings for all of them. I want you to know. I
You
would just
did give them
to
back,
people.
right?
I'd give them to people.
Oh,
no, I would
other
make the men
people.
so mad they wouldn't want to ever see me again. I know. But anyway, so that night, my boyfriend at the time, my fiance at the time, we knew that we would never just continue on boyfriend and girlfriend. Like at this point in our life, either you've been together 5 years, you're either going to get married or you're not. And so we were literally outside of my apartment, and we decided that it was over. So we parted ways, and then 3 weeks later, I go do the class again for stand-up, and that guy that heckled me is in the class, and that's my husband.
What made him come to the class?
Well, he liked what he saw in the class, and
he-
something told him to go.
Wow.
Yeah,
he
and
did the
what's-
research to figure out
Yeah.
where it was? Wow.
Well, what's really cool, too, is that I was in a Thursday class, and the lady had come in our first week back after doing our big performance. The first week back, she goes, okay, this class is too big. I need some of you to move over to Monday night. And I just raised my hand.
and
so
that's when you met him?
And so
in
he
the
walked
Monday
into
night.
that class.
Wow. Okay, so how long did you date before you got married?
Well, we dated about a year and a half.
Oh.
But what was interesting was we knew right away. It's like I met somebody that loved me no matter what.
How did you know that?
Well,
How did you know that?
My guard went down
Do you know why?
because I felt comfortable. And that's all I can think of now is that something made me feel comfortable. I mean, we would sit for hours and just stare at each other and just tell each other how much we loved
And
each other.
you
I
trusted
never,
him.
Yeah, and I never told anybody. I
You
loved
trusted
them
him,
that much.
and you don't know why you trusted him, but you
No,
just did.
there was something about him that it's like there was something underneath that was supporting this and saying, it's okay, it's okay.
And then the two of you eventually come to the Lord together, right?
Yes.
That's going to be an amazing story that we're going to hear in the next episode.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Are we done already?
Well,
Oh my
I
gosh.
just want you to just tease us a little bit about meeting Billy Blanks.
Okay, well, so during this time, I meet my husband. I'm working on the game show Jeopardy. I get an audition for a movie, and I have to do a fight scene. I've got to come in, do the audition first. After that, they'll okay me to come in and do a fight scene. So my manager looked in the yellow pages to find somebody that was a martial artist that could,
And that's Billy Blanks.
and that was Billy.
And
well,
then
and the yellow
Billy-
pages was Billy Blanks.
And that's something we do have in common because
Yes.
I was working out at Billy Blank's studio right close to here
Yes.
at the same time you were, but we never met.
We never
then.
met each other.
No, that's amazing.
I was a night timer.
And I was doing a show out of town and commuting, so I was mostly night and weekends.
Yeah,
And during
we
that
just missed
period of
each other.
time, we missed each other. But we're getting to know each other really
Yes,
well
we
now.
are. I got to interview you because it's not fair. This is one-sided.
I am really enjoying this. So we are going to come back and do another episode. This is part 3 that we're finishing
Yes.
today. And we will hopefully see you for part 4
Yes.
of the journey. I'm Connie Selica. Thank you so much for being with me on this journey through the life of Julieann Hartman.
There's more to come. We'll see you guys next week.